And often a large part of your problem that you will face with any sort of success or failure within your training session is tied to the organization of that session. How is it flowing? What does it look like? Organization is absolutely everything. So the excerpt you hear there is from some grassroots education I just did recently, where we got into the elements of a training activity, and I'll link those in the show notes. But the first thing that we look at when we are running a training session is organization. And I'll start from the top, which says the biggest mistake that we make as coaches, best of intentions, accidents happen, but the biggest mistake that we make is that we will not spend any time observing what is happening in our practice. When we spend time observing, we can check the organization. There are 3 elements or 3 levels to organization that I use when I am teaching, when I am coaching also. And then we also tailor this to the level of the coach and the coach's experience. So if you are an expert coach, coaching high level, we expect you to be able to hit all 3 levels. And then working backwards, if you're a grassroots coach and this is your first time coaching, level 1 is amazing. And here we go. Okay, so level 1. Are the cones in a straight line? Does the field look like, and is it set up like it's number 1 supposed to on the practice plan? But then also number 2, does it look like a game? Do you have a square field? Do you have a circular field? What does it look like, and how realistic is that to the game? Do you have enough soccer balls? Are the players scoring in goals? And so therefore, do you have all of the spare soccer balls by the sides of the goals? Does everybody have an identifier on? So a pinny, a bib, maybe a training shirt, whatever that looks like. Are the teams very clear? Do the substitutes, if you have subs or target players, plus players, anything like that, what are their roles, and are they fulfilling those roles? If they're just sitting down on the ground, that's probably not going to be very good for your training session. The ability then to keep them engaged and have them step up into the training session is really, really difficult. So your organization, if you are, for example, working on finishing, do you have a goal to finish into? If you have a goal, then it's very likely that you are training in the right area of the field because the goal is connected to the penalty area, unless you've moved the goal, unless you're struggling for space. But if you're working on the midfield, are you doing that inside the center of the field if you are able to? Are you able to constantly connect the dots so that you can say, in a game, you will be finding this target goal is a target player, etc., etc., etc. That is the very organization of the training session. And in a previous episode, I talked about using timings. What you will use is your coach's toolbox to get you through this training session and to deliver your goals of the training session will also be considered as organization. So from level 1, you are just stepping on the field. You're making sure that your training session plan is correct. It's accurate. It looks like it should do on the field. You've given yourself just a few moments to step back and observe what is going on. Are the players playing the game? Are the players easily identified? And one of the worst questions I hear is from a player who says, what do we do now? We've won the ball, coach, because we've said, okay, blue team, when you're going to score there, you're going to move the ball here, ready, go play. And then the red team wins the ball, and then they suddenly stop and look at you like, hey, what do we do? So when we're observing, we are taking in all of these elements of our training session. Is it organized at level 1? Then we jump to level 2. Are your players in a formation? Are they able to support each other? Are the players, in example, and I do this in my book too, I take 1v1s from a simple straight up 1v1 and we put it into a 4v4. And in that 4v4, we have multiple 1v1s that are game realistic happening. And so that's the same challenge here. Is your striker playing at the top of a diamond if you are playing a 4v4 type game? Are the wingers playing on the outside like they would in a game? This is level 2 organization. Are the players playing in the right positions? Now, grassroots education, young recreational players, or really any recreational player, they may not be identifying within a specific position right now. But then my challenge to you is, can you set them up in a position rotation so that they know that this week and next week or the next 2 weeks, they will be playing in X position. Then in training, play them in those positions. And I'll give you a caveat here that most coaches will say, how do I hide the bad player? I put them on the wing. Well, actually, if you put them on the wing in training and organize your training session around things like that, they may actually have a better chance of success when they step in on that field and actually try and step up and meet the demands that you have and the expectations of the team. So are your players in level 2 playing in their formation? Are they able to start the game quickly? If you want your team to play fast, do you have a neutral player, a target player, a +1 player feeding the ball in the moment the ball goes out so that the intensity remains high? Are you using those time limits from level 1 to dictate the tempo of the game? You want them to play a little bit slower and a little bit more purposeful. Your field might need to be bigger. So these are level 2 elements. And I say they are level 2 elements because it takes a little bit longer to observe and to actually see if what you are wanting to get out of the session is really coming out. Level 1, we make sure it looks like the training session plan and we can reflect afterwards. Level 2, we are manipulating the game even more so that we get what we are trying to get out of the training session, which is why I say that if you've got a little bit more experience and you're familiar with getting the players going and everybody's in the right pinnies and the balls are out and all that sort of stuff, that's great. Now it's time to try and set it up as accurately to the game as possible. Are the players playing in their formation? Are the players meeting the demands of the game? And then we go one further to level 3. Level 3, are you recreating what has happened in the game or what you anticipate to happen in the game or what you want for your game model to be in this cycle? Are you introducing that in the training session? So let's go back to 4v4 again. Maybe the opponent you play against, because it's probably very typical across most 7v7, they are high pressing. They are going to press and press and press. So when the blue team has the ball, the instruction for the red team is to go get them, go get after them, go get in their face, run hard. If you need to foul, you need to foul. Whatever it takes to win that ball high up the field and as fast as possible. That should be the coaching for the red team. Now we coach the blue team because the red team are hammering them. They're stealing the ball. They're recreating exactly what our opponent did last weekend, what our opponent we expect them to do this coming weekend. So now we've got to help the blue team. How, blue team, are we going to play through that press? If one player is forcing them to one side of the field, can you use something like a combination to move the ball into that channel where they are forcing you, but then quickly play out of it so you can break their press? This would be level 3. We've got our players in the right pinnies. We have balls on the field. We've got a level 2. We've got our winger playing on the wing. We've got our center back playing at the center back. We've got our striker playing at the top of the diamond in this 4v4. So now what does our pattern look like for those players who will see each other in those same positions in the game? How will they use your style of play, your game model, your structure to break the press of the red team? And now here's where you go even further. Maybe they do it. Maybe they have some success with it. Great. Here's what I'm going to do now. Red team, low block. I want you to force them to make a mistake. And I'm going to give them that specific information. For example, we call it a line of confrontation. Maybe the field's 40 yards long. So I'll say, when they build up to the halfway line, then we'll go and press. We'll play within 20 yards. And it's just part 1 is helping my defenders, the red team, learn how to control the game a little bit, look at what that looks like. How is it working? Is it working for us? Can we follow the rules? Can we stay disciplined to not chase when we were chasing early on? And then for the blue team, can you problem solve? Can you move between the lines? Can you move the ball quickly? Can you control the tempo of the game? Can your 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old players do this? I think so. The only way you are going to know if they are going to be able to do it is by challenging them to do so. And let me go backwards a step and say, when you have a training session plan, do it tonight, Tuesday night, Monday night, whatever night it is that you have training. Hopefully you have 2 trainings in a week at least. Do it on the first night of training. This is the game. Here's how we play. Maybe you get through level 1 organization, and then there's a little bit of level 2, getting players in the right positions. You might have to rotate players, etc., etc. But then when you come and do it again tomorrow, because you're going to do the same thing, players will be in their positions. They will be clearly identified and organized. Now you can challenge the red team to press in a certain way. Now you can challenge the blue team to press in a certain way, or to build out in a certain way, to counter press, because they know what they are doing. And then suddenly you may find yourself getting into level 3 so much more often in your training sessions because the organization is right. And I think the number one thing to underpin getting the organization right is by doing the same session at least twice. You come in next week on the 3rd session in a row and you do the same session, you can really now work on the counter press. You can really work on direct play and then coach a defender, so you can coach both sides of the ball. But level 1, level 2, level 3, and you afford the luxury for yourself by observing. Take a minute and step back and watch what's going on. Does it look like it should? Is it working? And now are my players playing in the right places? Are they holding their shape? Are they in positions? And now we can really do something in training that we can take into the game. But this may take a week. I've just talked through 2 to 3 hours of training to see how it goes. Well, suddenly here we are now, and we're in our 2nd game after 3 training sessions or 4 training sessions, and we are playing through a high press. We are breaking down a low block, and we feel like $1 million because our training has directly connected what we were doing on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday to the game on Saturday. And that makes you, my friend, a very, very good coach.